All right, so everybody, welcome. It is Monday the 9th, and this is my fantastic um, accountability slash power hour slash um, joining up with your coaches to accomplish a goal call. And I'm your host, Justin. Nice to see you all tonight, and let us begin. So, show of hands, or well, whoever is on video, is anybody planning on doing any invites tonight? Hey, all right, cool. Okay, so let's get a plan rolling here. Oh, and at any time, if you guys want to unmute the audio, that's totally fine. This is not a serious thing for me. We just kind of roll with the punches. You know what I'm saying? All right. So I want to go over some good invites. Just for those of you that don't have a strong invite or maybe need some fresh ideas. For those of you that don't know, actually, I've been running a side group for accountability on the side of Team 360, and it's been working out really good. People have been kind of jiving in there. We haven't had any issues with that, and everybody's been kind of keeping each other pumped and motivated. So it's worked out really nice. So where am I getting with this? I want to explain the importance of staying connected with the team. I know this firsthand can be detrimental if you disconnect. And I know that Sierra knows what I'm talking about. I've actually had a phone call or two with this girl, and she's had to kick my butt back into the groove. But whenever you stop joining in Team 360, commenting, being a part of the team, you have this disconnect, and it makes it really, really easy for you to fall off the wagon as far as your invites go. And it's a compound effect. It can be negative or positive, right? So you stop doing invites, you stop working the business, you stop your workouts, you stop the Shakeology, and that's when coaches fail, right? So being a part of something where you have people that are doing the same thing as you, I mean, again, this is why we do challenge groups. That's our bread and butter, right? So we do it to keep each other accountable. And it's the same notion with Team 360 or your respective teams. All right, so have any of you had any trouble with your invites? Have you not been getting traction? Are you having people just leaving you hanging? Like, I want to hear some issues so we can kind of go over and cover some things. Raise of a hand or unmuting of a mic, whatever. Oh, Sierra, you get it? All right, go ahead.
Oh my goodness, I always get so uncomfortable talking about places that I fail. So anyway, one area that, I've kind of been thinking about it recently. I feel like my mindset had a lot to do with where the conversations were not working. But the invites have been going really well, but I think showing the value was really kind of an issue for me. And I don't follow it. I follow like a general script, like Vanessa's, the question can ask you a question, but a lot of times it stops there, actually, like asking them, can I ask a few questions to see if this, is a good fit for you. So there's some other things I can probably type in the chat, like getting more specific as I go back to a couple messages. But I feel like people aren't, I'm super excited, and I almost think that I'm maybe like overexcited, and so I like overwhelm people, but yeah. So I don't know if that's something that you can help me with, because I'm not very specific.
Well, I think that showing excitement, that's branding yourself, right? So whenever you put yourself out there on the internet, I mean, you want to be as real and as personable as you can possibly be, because that's what's going to attract your audience, right? People that you want people that are like-minded, that have the same kind of attitude, that have the same sense of humor as you. And like, I can't tell you how many coaches I've been through that have promised the world and said, "Oh, I'm going to do all this stuff, and I'm going to get on the bandwagon, and I'm excited, and this and that." And then I don't know if maybe we don't mix well, or maybe I questioned myself as a leader there for a while, because I didn't know whether or not I was doing something wrong, or maybe it just I wasn't finding the right people, I think was the problem for me. Perfect example would be like Mark Briggs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He was in P90X and all kind of other stuff, 22-minute hardcore. But he talks a lot about branding yourself, and he did that at his Super Saturday as well. And he straight up said, "Listen, I'm not apologetic for how I am. I am the way I am." And if you look at his posts, if you guys are following him, he puts his beliefs out there. He puts his political beliefs, everything. It's all out there, laid out for you on the table. Am I recommending that for everybody? No, because it's not going to work for everybody. But for him, you know, he's an ex-cop, military. He was military police. He has a huge following with law enforcement, EMS, and firefighters and all that stuff. And he has found his tribe. And granted, he's been around for years now, so he kind of doesn't need to worry about those things because he's not exactly starting out either. So, but it's really cool to see how people are drawn to him. And even myself, you know, I have a law enforcement background, and as soon as I saw his posts and the way he started doing things, I was like, man, this dude, man, I'm right there with him. He's a cool dude. So, so yeah, you really got to kind of gather your tribe up. So as far as the excitement level and all that stuff goes, people just aren't going to get excited. You got to give them a reason to be excited. You know what I mean? Like, I go out there and I do these size videos, and I do these different workout videos, and I'm goofy and all that stuff, and I try my best to hype up the product and I build value. And again, like I said with Mark, is I'm totally unapologetic about how much people, you know, how much the Shakeology and everything's worth, because I believe it's worth every penny. You know, whenever, and again, if you have that belief, maybe it's a faltering belief or something like that. Maybe there's something that maybe a lack of confidence, maybe something like that. But like, I think that whenever you have all those things in line, and again, I've been through this 100 times. I have gone up and down and up and down and up and down. I've totally crashed. I've been on, you know, the highest mountain, but there's the one thing that always changed it for me was having that belief and having that confidence and seeing an endpoint, you know, seeing myself doing this 5 years from now, and knowing that I can succeed. Because a lot of people, you know, with that negative self-talk and all that stuff, that's so detrimental to your business. And I mean, realistically, you're sabotaging yourself before you're even out the gate. So so yeah, through that rambling, I hope I answered some of those things. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover? Did I miss something? Because I talk a lot, man. Nope, good, yeah, no. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I wasn't reading the. Gotcha. Okay. Moving right along. So, so staying connected with your people. Um, Sierra's in there. Allison, you're in there too, right? The stinking coach accountability and awesomeness group. If you're not in this group, don't be shy. Join the group. It's for any coach that's serious about getting their invites done. I don't care what rank you are. I don't care if you have never invited a person in your life. That is a place where you can be yourself, because I know that Team 360 can be very intimidating. There's 400 people in there now. It's a lot of people looking at your posts, right? So if you're feeling a little bit shy and you need a place to start, and it's something that's not quite as intimidating, come to the group, join up, and you'll actually have a good time. Couple of suggestions. Whenever you're inviting, who hates invites? Show of hands. Yes. And why do you hate the invites? Is it because you're afraid they're going to say no, or you're afraid you're going to pester somebody, or you don't think that it might be a right fit for them and you kind of say no before you even try to invite them? Like, what's the deal? Somebody give me an answer on that one, because I'd like to hear the popular opinion on that. Anybody?
Okay, so sometimes I'm actually afraid they're going to say yes, and I don't have time to deal with it. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. I should be like really happy, but when they say yes, I'm like, okay, now I have to do this and this and this, and I'm super busy all the time, and I don't want to have to spend the time. So I actually am afraid of the yes more than the no.
Yes. Yeah, dude, I can't even tell you how many times I've done that. I'll send out my invites early in the day, 20 of them, and I feel good about them, and then I go about my day. I'm hanging out with my kids or I'm doing something else, and then all of a sudden here comes a flood of messages. Oh, I'd like to hear about that. And I'm like, God, man. But see, this is why it's so important to set hours. When you have business hours, you ain't got to worry about that, right? So, but huge thing right there that you just said, Allison. I appreciate you bringing that up, because that's something that I recently have been dealing with, because I've been juggling, sick kids and running around, and it's been a pain. So that's certainly something that comes up quite a bit. But you're right. And if you guys model your invites anything like me, Sierra, and Allison, what we do is we send the initial invite, and then we'll follow up with a set of questions, right? We'll find out what their goals are, how their diet is, if they have any injuries and that kind of thing. That way we can start to bottleneck and figure out what the perfect program for them would be, something that they can do, something that they will enjoy, more importantly. So before getting into all that, so you don't have time, you're out hanging with the kids, you're out to eat, something like that, and then you get this message. So that's what she's talking about, because we know as soon as we get that message, it's go time. So, all right, what kind of goals do you have? And then we got to wait 30 minutes for somebody to respond to you. And then by the time they do that, you're jumping in bed and you're like, all right, well, what's your diet like? So it's, again, business hours, set them, own them, have them, do not deviate from them, do it. I am the worst at this, will not lie, I am not perfect. Business hours, set a realistic time, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 30 minutes a day, whatever it is that suits your fancy. Just ooh, muted. How you doing though? All right, let me see, we're going on to the next point. Okay, so Brandy Shrives has a really good invite. Mine tends to be kind of long-winded. So what I normally would say is, well, first and foremost, and I don't know if everybody does this, and this is a good thing to bring up too. Do you guys get their attention before you throw an invite? Do you actually say a couple of things to them and start a conversation off? Or do you just throw an invite out there and hope for the best? Who actually talks to people? Show of hands. Ooh, oh, you better be raising your hand over there. Hi, Kristen or Kirsten. Anyway, the reason that I bring that up is it's so easy to say nothing. It's so easy to ignore a text whenever they haven't committed to the conversation, right? So they might need it. They might even want it. But the fact that you haven't taken the time to get their attention and start a conversation, then you're saying a couple of things. Number one, you're saying I don't have time to really sit down and talk to you. And number two, this invite is more about me than it is about you. Okay. Because, people know whenever you're doing something for them and you're doing something to them. That's a basic human psychology. So big word of advice, make sure you engage in conversation with the people that you're inviting. Yes. And it doesn't have to be some crazy long thought out process. Take the time to look at their Facebook, see what's been going on with them. Have they, did their kid have a baseball game? Did they go out and spend time with family? Did they go to Disney World? Did they go to, whatever it is? Did they get a new bow? I don't know. Whatever it is, just be like, hey, I saw that post. That's really cool. And by the way, how are you doing? How was your Christmas? And get that conversation rolling. And after a few minutes, you're like, hey, well, listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I have this thing going on. I'm not really sure if it's your kind of deal. I don't know if you'd be interested, but blah, 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 and go on with your invite. So engaging, really, really big. Brandy's, she has one that I actually used because I wanted to test the waters with both of them. It's like, I wish I had it in front of me, but I don't. I'm kind of upset for that. It was something along the lines of, hey, how are you? I hope you had a good Christmas. So listen, now that January is behind us, I'm putting together a fitness accountability group. I don't know if this is something you'd be interested in, but let me know if that's something that you'd want to get in on, or something to that effect. But what it did is it didn't stop on a question, right? And because there's that expectation of I have to answer. So it kind of takes away the pressure of the invite, I think, which is why I was kind of interested in it. That's why I wanted to try something a little bit different. And I found that whenever you take that pressure off, you do get responses. So if you just want to throw out some invites really quick, like you're driving, or you're not driving, don't drive and text, don't do it. But if you're riding or flying from here to there and you want to throw out a couple of invites, but you ain't got a whole lot of time, try it, see what happens. Because a lot of people, and Tanya, I remember her telling me this all the time. She's like, people are waiting for you to invite them. They might not be the type of person that's going to reach out to you because, they're shy or whatever the case may be, but guaranteed, if you bring the opportunity to them, they're going to snatch it up. So, don't be afraid to do that. Try it out every once in a while. See what happens. Test. You gotta play around with your invites and see what works for you. Okay. By the way, how we doing on invites over here, people? Have we been sending these invites, or are we just listening to Justin Gap? Lori, how you doing, hon? Ooh, that technology thing, girl. I'm so sorry.
Hey, so Justin, can I ask a question real quick?
Absolutely, you can.
Okay, so at Super Saturday, Jess kind of alluded to this, but she didn't expand on it, about kind of live invites. Like, you are at the store. She was like, every day, everywhere you go, you need to invite everybody you talk to. I'm just curious if you, and I have done this a little bit, but I would love to know if you or anybody else on the team has some experience with, like, how do you just start that, like, random kind of conversation, like, in person?
Okay. This is a really good question, and this is not easy for everybody. It's not. I don't care what any coach tells you. I don't care. Anybody can do it, but everybody is not built to do it. Okay. So obviously, looking at me, I am a social butterfly. I am a sanguine dude. I will straight up go and talk to a curtain if it'll talk back. I don't care. So if I'm in the store and there's somebody, that, I don't know, there'll be somebody in front of me and I'll make a joke or something, some kind of corny something or another, just to, get a laugh or whatever, because I enjoy doing that. That'll be kind of like the icebreaker, and be like, oh, it looks like you got a party going on or something like that. That's pretty cool, But what really helps in this whole process is the wear and share. So like, if you have a hat or something like that, something for them to pinpoint and look at and be like, oh, hey, I saw that you're doing that. That'll do half the work for you. That has worked for me. I have an Insanity polo, and I was at a grocery store, and actually it was a younger girl. It was a cashier, and I'm getting ready to leave, and honestly, I wasn't trying to invite nobody, but she goes, have you done that? And I'm like, done what are you talking about? She's like, on your shirt. I'm like, oh, Insanity. Yeah, I'm actually a beach buddy coach. It's hard, but anybody can do it, so we started a quick conversation there. I mean, nothing came of it, but just the fact that I didn't have to do anything to get that contact it's huge. So for people that aren't going to go out there and they aren't going to just put everybody on blast, wear and share, man, all day long, all day, every day, per day. Okay. Other than that, my personal experience with it is it can be tricky. You can't always just jump into it. You gotta know what to say, man. And I wish I had more experience with it, and I wish I knew better what to tell you. Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it doesn't. Usually bringing up something fitness, or I don't even know. I mean, I'd have to see how the conversation went. That's totally something like impromptu, like, Sarah, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm like, I don't know if he's looking at me or not, or if I'm even on the screen. But I was just gonna make a note on that, because like my favorite place to do this is the grocery store, because that's like pretty much the only place I go. And hashtag stay at home mom life, right? But anyway, so one thing that I've found to be super helpful, now I am much more extroverted, generally speaking, but something that I find helps is, like Tanya's talked about it before in the team page, where just saying, you know, like making eye contact with someone. Like the cashier is always like the easiest person because they have to interact with you to a degree. And so I always just, you know, make eye contact and ask them, you know, how are you today? Just ask how they're doing. And that might not be an invite, all right? But if it's your regular grocery store, for example, you know, that's someone that you might see on a regular basis. So if you begin to build that relationship with them, you know, be interested in what's going on in their lives. And one day, you know, when the opportunity calls, you know, you might come to that in conversation, or they might speak a need that you can fill by sharing this opportunity with them. The reason why I share that and the reason why it's on my mind freshly is because tonight we went to the grocery store and there was this girl, Marianne, who I literally haven't seen for over 6 months. She's a cashier, right? And she and I talked like months ago. It was when I was, you know, I mean, I do this all the time, but I see the same grocery like cashiers and stuff now. But I haven't seen her in like 6 months. And the day that I saw her last, I, you know, was asking her about herself. She was talking about health and fitness. I'm like, oh, I'm a health and fitness coach. I work from home. Like I always just like throw that out there when people ask what I do or ask about my life. I'll just find a way to fit that in. And so she was like, she's a really avid hiker. She loves fitness. And so we got to talking and I gave her my Facebook information because she said hers was private, so I wouldn't be able to find her. Well, today I saw her for the first time since then, and she'd never hit me up on Facebook, and I didn't even recognize her really at first because I was not paying attention. And she was like, I've been looking for you. I've been looking for you forever. Like I lost your Facebook contact information. I was so bummed because I wanted to reach out to you and like, you know, go on a hike or something with you. And so anyway, so we exchanged numbers tonight, and she's the kind of person who would make, you know, just the way that she is, like I could tell that she's someone who I would want to invite to the coaching opportunity, you know? So anyway, it's always about planting seeds, but they say, you know, be interested, not interesting. Just, I don't know if you ever get that feeling. Do you ever get that feeling like that you're supposed to say something to someone, even if it's just hi? When you get that feeling and you walk away from it and you know, right? You know, I should have freaking said something. Like you don't know what it was supposed to lead to, but that's your heart. That's your heart and you have to listen to it. So anyway, just my 2 to 5 cents.
Where's your mic at so you can drop it on the ground over there? You got one? You got one handy? You just take it and just I'm so glad that you were on this call because that was the perfect answer. My goodness. But you were totally right, and especially on the cashier thing. And this is something that I've noticed too. Is I walked up one day and I was in my regular grocery store, and there was this young girl. She looked miserable, you know, ringing out the groceries and stuff. And I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And she goes, "Oh, okay." And she just continues about her way. And I'm like, "Having a long night?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, so like, how are you doing?" And she goes, "You know what? That's like the first time that somebody has actually said, you know, how are you doing? But it wasn't that obligatory, you know, you just came up to the line, how are you doing, greeting. You know, it was actually somebody actually focused, talked to me and said, hey, how are you? How is your night going? What do you got going on? Like, and I told, you know, after, you know, a few minutes of conversation and sitting there talking and ringing out groceries and me threatening to punch her boss in the throat. Yeah, it's whatever, you know, because that's who was bothering her that night. But, you know, don't do that. But it just goes to show you're totally right. Building that relationship with somebody it's huge. It's so huge. And it's kind of like, duh, you know, it's common sense. And I totally wasn't going to say it. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you. All right. Moving right along. Okay, I've done that. Okay. So here's a big one. And I know y'all are going to laugh at me for this that are in my group, but whenever you are doing your invites, are you sober? And I don't mean, you know, go out there and like go out there blasting and be like, hey, got a challenge group. Don't do that. I'm saying whenever you do your invites, there's so much anxiety and there's so much pressure. Grab a glass of wine, y'all. Okay, a glass of wine. Stop it. It will help you. It will help you because it takes the edge off. You have a glass of wine. One glass of wine a night is good. Stop. And another thing is, whenever you're doing your invites, and I used to do this all the time, I would do my invite and then I would wait for a reply. Don't do that. Throw your invite out there, close the window, move about your day, do another invite, keep on going with your bad self. Because people, in my experience, probably more than half of the time, they don't even check their messenger. They don't have Messenger installed on their phone. So unless you are straight up sending like text messages to somebody's phone, you're calling somebody, you're emailing somebody, do not wait for a reply. Just keep on rolling. Don't get caught up in that, because you're going to throw away a lot of your time and a lot of your productivity is going to go with it. So last one. Good. Okay. Numbers game. So they say that statistically, out of 30 invites, you get one yes, right? So inviting, and this is across the board with any MLM, you have to get all those no's in order to get the yes. You got to do it. And obviously, the more that you send out, the more invites you send out, the more yeses you're going to get. It's just the way, that's math, man. Math. A good thing that would help you guys, if you're not reading a personal development that really speaks to you, I would suggest either Go Pro or the Go for No. Both of them are fantastic. Both of them will transform your business. They will open up doors that you wouldn't have even thought about. Like I remember the first time I read Go Pro, and I was like epiphany after epiphany after epiphany, and it was just a no-brainer for me after that. And it makes everything so simple for you. So don't stick with the PD that you're not feeling. If you have something that just isn't speaking to you, you have something that you're not connecting with, you're having trouble reading or even listening to, if you're doing audiobooks, toss it. Come back to it later whenever you are mentally ready for that book, because at every stage in your life, you need something different, right? You need something different. You need a certain something to connect the dots for you in your business. Whenever I was reading GoPro, before that I had tried reading The Slight Edge. Both are fantastic books, but The Slight Edge wasn't really speaking to me. I got like 3/4 of the way through it, and I was struggling. Picked up GoPro, read it in 2 days, and it was just, and I felt so energized and so great after reading that, and I really absorbed the information because I needed it, So that's important. Let me see if I've got anything else. I might have gone through everything. So staying connected with your team. If you're having problems, okay, that's one thing that I do want to check out. As far as invites go, do you guys have any issues with your invites? Do you feel like there's something that you could improve with your invite, or something that you're struggling with? Do any of you have anything like that we can throw out there on the table and look at as a group and try to figure out what's best for you? Do you guys have anything like that you feel maybe isn't up to par? Anybody? Man, y'all rock. Sorry, settle down. I'm sorry. I keep looking at this computer. It's throwing me off. I'm like, why is my head way up? Okay, sorry. All right. I think that's pretty much all I got as far as that goes. I mean, I was hoping that somebody'd have some kind of something that we could work on as a group, but I guess we don't have that. Does anybody have anything to add? Sarah, do you have anything that you would like to throw out there? Your 2 cents, your wisdom? Allison, don't be shy.
Well, I can just kind of speak on what we talked about before we got on here, if you're ready for that. Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have a lot to add. You pretty much nailed it. But But no, I mean, just on the whole accountability thing, I mean, I really appreciate you putting that group together. I'm not super verbal in it right now, mostly because, or vocal or whatever, but anyway, because I'm overwhelmed with all the groups that are going on at the moment. But like you said, I mean, even just having a success partner or an accountability partner, or relationships with people in the team. I mean, Justin and I are success partners, and I think, are we still success partners?
I don't think that there is a more successful success partnership.
I'm just kidding. No, I love that to have a relationship with him that I can, a friend who I can connect with, and like, they're not gonna, beat around the bush, like, are gonna keep it really honest. And that's why I like your group, because it's like having Team 360 is amazing. Like, I've built a lot of relationships in Team 360, but the actual team page, it serves a different purpose than the accountability group, because there needs to be a certain level of organization. Important posts, information that Tanya shares needs to be visible and not really clouded up by a lot of stuff. And so having a page where it's pretty much just, it's all there, just you it's like you own the group just as much as Justin does. You can share as much as you want, and in whatever, terms you want. You don't have to worry about being like, be courteous, but you don't have to be like worried about your professionalism and whether or not someone's going to be all sad and butthurt about everything. So it's just really cool, like the level of comfort, and, and he's totally like my kind of tribe. So anyway, so to speak on the accountability, I think it's important to find a place like that where you are, again, connected, building relationships. And something that I am kind of coming into lately, and this, I don't know if this will help anyone, but after this last week, I was kind of like in a place where I was kind of lost as far as my goals as a coach, because I had sat down with Tanya and I talked to her, and she wanted my priorities and goals. And I sat down with my husband, and I like couldn't figure them out. Like, I didn't know what the right answer was, and what I was supposed, like, I had this idea of what I was supposed to be prioritizing, and I had a different idea of what was actually being prioritized in my life. And but then this theme of giving that Tanya has, that Jenny has shared with her team Galvanize, and just a few snippets that have been shared from top coaches in the last month have really changed my mindset about this business. And if mindset is something that you're struggling with, then invites and follow-ups are going to be something that you struggle with, because if your head is not in the right place, you might see success to a degree, but you will be limited. And I have limited myself with the perspective that I've had. I mean, it's very common to be reminded not to see people as dollar signs or Success Club points or whatever, but when you're coming to the last few days of the month and you still haven't hit Success Club, it's really hard to manage, or it was hard for me. I'm just naturally a very self-centered person. And I honestly, I started thinking just about myself. And so anyway, I kind of came to this place where I'm like, you know what, like, my first question is going to be like, I guess all the cliches, how can I serve these people? How can I serve my team? How can I serve my challengers? And how can I serve this person who needs what I have to offer them, but they're not going to see it until I present it in a way that they can receive. So, so as far as the, even though we didn't go over specific invites or anything, if you're struggling with an area and like, your mentality is not in the right place, that you're being self-serving, that you're focusing on the wrong thing, focusing on, the money first, or focusing on whatever else, comes before that in your own selfish needs or desires or whatever. Maybe, write a Post-it note or something and remind yourself. For me, I had to put on my computer, ask more questions, because someone would say, well, I want to lose 10 pounds. And I would just I would maybe ask a couple more questions, and I would be assumptive, and I would jump in and make assumptions and try to close the deal quickly, instead of milking it over, really digging in and seeing what this person needed and building the relationship that they deserve to have. So, so it might just be me, and I might just be talking to myself, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just have to share just in case one person can relate. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Whenever you dig, okay. So I know a lot of us have a fear of that rejection, and I know this has probably happened to all of you. If you're active in your invites, you get somebody that bites, and you start going through the process, and you lose them halfway, right? I think a lot of trying to rush into it and trying to close it and trying to do it quickly, at least for me anyways, was I didn't want to lose them. I wanted to make that sale. I didn't want them to lose interest or talk to me 3 days down the road and say, oh, you know what, I decided against that, and before I even got a chance to offer anything to them. So I had that impatience. I wanted to just get in there and just, oh yeah, let's get it done. But you are so right about digging in and figuring out what people really need. And here's the honest, God honest truth. It does not matter how good you are. It doesn't matter what you have to offer. It doesn't matter if you have a tongue made of silver. If somebody is not ready to take the step to get healthy or to jump into a business like this, if they are not mentally there, if they are not mature enough, if they do not have the time or are unwilling to give the time, you're going to lose them regardless. Okay? So don't ever think that you need to rush to finish something because you don't want to lose their attention. If they're gone, man, they're gone. They're gone before the conversation even starts. There's no denying that. You just have to accept that as a truth and move on with your bad self. That's a number, 1 to 30, 1 to 30, 1 to 30, and keep on rolling. That's what you got to do. All right. Another thing that I wanted to cover real quick before I wrap up. My group is not for everyone. Okay. My ways are not for everyone. I am not everyone's coach. I get that. I'm a little rough around the edges. That's okay. I'm a little too goofy, a little too energetic for some people. That's fine. But as coaches and running our own business, as business owners, we are 100% all adults. Okay. So if you feel like being in a group where you have a relaxed environment, you have people just speaking plainly, man, that group is for you. Jump in there and contribute and be a rock star. But I will not apologize for anybody's behavior in there. I will not apologize for any of that, because people thrive in certain environments. If you put me in a corporate situation, I would sink because I want to be out there talking to people. I want to be on the sales floor. I want to do something helping somebody. That's the way I am, right? So what I've tried to do is create an environment where everybody feels comfortable. They don't have to put on a facade of professionalism, just like you said, Sierra, and just do your thing. Be you, be you. That's so important, because again, that's what's going to draw everybody to you that you want on your team. That's your magnet. Hold on to that. Use that, harness that. Don't be afraid to show that. Because I know, man, especially when I first started out, I was like, man, I don't want to post that because, that's a little too goofy, and I know a lot of people don't like goofy, so I don't want to, and I would tiptoe around certain things. But then I came to this realization. I'm like, dude, who cares what everybody thinks? Because like I said, I'm not everybody's coach. I don't care. I just don't care anymore. I am me. I am blessed. I am what God made me to be. And other people that want to join me in my journey, then damn it, let's go, and that's it. There's no third direction for me. So, all right, that's it. Now, does anybody have anything to add to this fantastic group? No, y'all are all just rock stars. I can't, man. Well, anyway, thank you so much for joining the group, guys. If you, oh, nope, go ahead, do it. I heard you.
Say thank you. I love the group that you put on. I love that you don't like care about the BS. You just sort of like, it's real. I like your style. This is awesome. I appreciate you doing the call tonight. So thank you.
Well, and I don't want to take credit for anything because, it's just like Sarah said, you guys are just as much the group as I am. I just put this thing together, said a couple of swear words and said I was drinking some whiskey, and that was about it. You know what I'm saying? So whenever you jump in there and you create the environment as well. So thank you for being there, because that's what matters. We're all in this together. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that was very nice of you. I appreciate that. You guys go out there, kick some ass. I am super proud of the stuff that you guys have been doing in that group. I know that we're all rock stars in this call, and I hope to see more faces in there. If you feel like it's your thing, jump in there. And again, if you guys ever have any issues, you want to work on invites, anything like that, if Tanya's not available, your upline isn't available, you can come to me 24/7. I thoroughly enjoy helping other coaches succeed, especially when you're on my team. So with that, you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for being here. Bye. I'm going to try to figure out how to shut this down.